A small compact tractor sat on the gravel beside a metal shed, its loader bucket half full of wet gray gravel. The owner had picked it off the dealer lot that week over a heavier machine that wore the same horsepower number on the window sticker. The bucket lifted toward the top of its travel, the rear tires started spinning and polishing the wet ground, and the gravel never reached the pile. The engine still pulled hard, and the work stopped anyway. The real price of this tractor sat nowhere on that window sticker. It would show up later, spread across a dozen ordinary days in places the buyer never thought to look. It all started with one number on the glass. Horsepower gets the biggest font on a dealer lot, and it hides almost everything that matters once the work turns heavy. A John Deere 4044M shows about 42.5 horsepower at the engine, yet only around 33 reaches the spinning power takeoff shaft at the back after the pumps, the cooling fan, and the steering have taken their cut. A Kubota L3902 reads close to 37 on the engine and around 30 at that same rear shaft. A TYMT 474 lists higher again, near 48 horsepower. And still it does not settle the question, because none of these machines carry the same weight, hydraulic flow, or hitch lift behind the headline. The cheaper tractor can win the showroom and lose the field. Watch the implement on the 3-point hitch, the rear tires biting into the dirt, and the loader arms reaching out front. That is where a tractor actually spends its power, and that is where the gap between two similar stickers quietly opens up. The first hidden bill is weight. Put two loader-equipped tractors on the same wet, grassy slope, and the lighter one breaks traction first, spinning and throwing mud while the heavier one keeps crawling forward. A 4044M scales close to 3,750 pounds before any loader or ballast goes on. A lighter compact in the same horsepower class can come in nearly 1,000 pounds under that, and the missing weight is exactly what the ground feels. John Deere tells owners to add rear ballast for a 50-50 front-to-rear balance whenever a loader rides on the front. It does this for more than rollover safety, because correct ballast spreads the load across the axles and adds years to the tractor's working life. That ballast is a concrete box on the 3-point hitch, cast iron weights bolted to the wheels, or fluid pumped into the rear tires, and all of it costs money after the sale. Skip it and the front axle takes a beating every time the bucket comes up loaded. The cheaper tractor ran short on weight long before it ran short on engine, and closing that gap means still more parts to buy. Then the loader shows its real number. A lift rating only means something once the owner knows where the load is being measured. The John Deere 400E lifts about 2,396 pounds right at the pivot pins, and only about 1,764 pounds when that same load rides 500 millimeters farther out front. Slide a pallet of seed onto a set of forks, hang a round bale on a spear, or curl a bucket of wet gravel, and the weight rides well out past those pins. The loader that emptied a light bucket in the driveway now stalls halfway up at the pile, arms shaking and the front end going light. Same tractor, same height, 600 pounds of capacity, simply gone. A budget loader package tells the same story in smaller numbers. One common value loader lists around 2,150 pounds to full height at the pins and raises its boom in a little over 5 seconds. On paper, it looks close to the premium arm, right up until a bale or a loaded pallet drags the real working number down to a fraction of the brochure figure. The attachments turn that shortfall into wasted minutes. A quick coupler will click a grapple onto a tractor that cannot feed it enough oil to work at speed. Hydraulic flow decides whether the grapple jaws snap shut on a brush pile or crawl shut while the operator holds the joystick and waits. A value loader system might move only around 7.5 gallons of oil a minute through its hoses. The boom that should rise in a few seconds drags, and that same delay repeats on every bucket, every cycle, all day long. Many of these tools also need an extra rear remote or a dealer-installed third function kit before they will run at all. Slow hydraulics read on screen as a tractor that always seems to be waiting on itself. The operator climbs down to swap a manual top link, waits for the loader to catch up, and watches a 1-hour job stretch toward 2. By the 3rd hour, the tractor starts charging the person in the seat. A machine can muscle through a job once and turn expensive when that same job repeats for a full day. An open station tractor with a flat seat, a stiff range lever, and a slow forward and reverse shuttle turns loader cycling into sore wrists, a stiff neck, and a long afternoon. The same model fitted with a cab weighs a few hundred pounds more, and that added weight is a heater, air conditioning, a suspension seat, and glass holding back the dust. The bare machine saves money on the lot and spends it back in fatigue and lost daylight. By late afternoon, it has done less work and left more for tomorrow, parked half-finished out in the field. This is the moment the bargain shows its true shape. On the dealer lot that day, the lower price tag came attached to a much smaller world of support. It meant a thinner parts shelf, a dealer 2 counties up the road, fewer trained mechanics in the bay, and a short list of loaders and implements that actually bolt on without a fight. On a dry Saturday with nothing on the line, none of that is visible. On the worst day of the season, all of it stands directly between the owner and a finished job. That worst day shows up in the middle of hay week, with cut grass lying in the field and a dark storm building along the horizon. A single failed hydraulic seal can park the whole tractor, and a budget machine sits longest when that seal is not in a drawer within driving distance. A premium price often buys the exploded parts diagram, the seal already on the shelf, a technician who plugs in a laptop and recognizes the fault on site, and a loaner that keeps the work moving before the rain hits. The bargain tractor sits quiet in the barn while the cut hay darkens and soaks. The money saved at the counter covers none of that lost crop, and none of the custom job that went to a neighbor instead. The final bill is time and resale, and it is the largest one of all. The sticker is only the first line on a much longer page. The University of Missouri Extension counts ownership costs, meaning depreciation, interest, repairs, taxes, and insurance, as half or more of what a machine costs across its entire working life. Depreciation alone can outrun any single repair. A new compact tractor can be financed over 6 years on a balance near $50,000, and the machine that holds its value protects that money while the one the market doubts quietly bleeds it away. A green John Deere or an orange Kubota usually draws a crowd at trade-in time, while an off-brand compact sits longer on the lot and sells across a wide, soft price range. The number on the listing photo is where the bargain finally settles its account, often for thousands less than the owner expected. By then, the cheaper purchase price has been paid back several times over, in ballast, in downtime, in lost crop, and in the trade that never came. So the little tractor ended up back where it began, on the gravel beside the shed, washed and photographed for an online listing, and sold for well under what the owner first paid. Down the road, a heavier machine with a closer dealer works straight through the same seasons and costs less to own by the end of them. That cheap tractor could still be the right buy for the right place and the right job. The mistake was trusting only the horsepower on the window sticker, and the bill for that came due one delayed job at a time. If you have owned a first tractor, drop the one number you wish you had checked before horsepower, and tell me which so-called bargain ended up costing you the most after the sale.